Today we're gathering around the campfire with Sharyn, a QHS member whose life is as exciting and grounding as a hike through the mountains. But what trails did she tread to reach these heights? Let's trek into the wilderness and discover the adventures that led Sharyn to where she is today.
Hello everyone, I'm Sharyn and I'm here to do my prequel. I was born in Melbourne, Australia and have lived in Melbourne all my life. I was the middle one of 3 children, a brother who is the eldest and a younger sister. My parents were both Australian, but I did have an English grandmother on my mother's side, and I'm about a 4th generation Australian on my father's side, as they've been here since the 1800s. During my childhood, I was very shy and fairly withdrawn, and I didn't like school even from the very beginning as a primary age child. And when I went to an all-girls school from grade 1 through to my 12th year, VCE at the time here in Australia, I counted down the years. I was really depressed at how many years I still had to go ahead of me. So I was really pleased when I finished school and I began training as a primary teacher, and I spent 10 years in various positions, in specialist positions as well as general class teaching positions as a teacher. During that time, I had a lot of challenges health-wise. It was just about every year I was in hospital from the time I was about 21 to 30. At 18, I had my first lump in my breast removed, and that was at the time said to be benign. By 21, I had acute appendicitis and had my appendix out, and 4 weeks later, I was back in hospital again because at the time of my appendix, they had discovered that I had another growth in my breast. And that ended up where they removed all of the glands in my right breast because the ducts as well, they had found the growth had spread throughout, which was quite a shock to me, as I thought I was just going in for a lump removal. Then I was put on 3 monthly mammograms where I had to keep going in for years, as they said any time they detected a lump, it could not stay there. So consequently, I had 2 boys, and it seemed like being pregnant activated the growth. So it was every year I was going in, and during my first pregnancy, I had to go in at 16 weeks and 30 weeks to have lumps removed. And again, when my second son was due, he arrived at 12 weeks early, and at the time I was due to go in and have another lump out. But of course that set everything aside because we had a fairly stressful time with him being in intensive care in the city neonatal unit for 12 weeks before we could bring him home. So I didn't get that done at the time. The surgeons at that stage said to me that they felt if I didn't have a bilateral mastectomy, as that was all they could offer, that I would develop cancer, very high likelihood of it, as it's been in the proactive stages during this time. So I thought, well, I can't have 2 young children and leave my husband trying to cope, so that's what I ended up doing when I was by then 27, I think. And they also said to me that the hormones get activated during my pregnancy, which was stimulating the growth. So they told me if I wanted any more children to have them now. And since we were just going through this whole trauma of having a 12-month prem baby all those years ago, I decided, well, that wasn't going to happen, and I'd been told once you have a prem baby, you're likely to have another one and they get earlier. So we were already at the breaking point of where babies survive. So I also ended up having to have a tubal ligation. So during that time, as I said, it was quite stressful, and my first child was also very hyperactive, and I had, since the moment he was born, only been getting a few hours sleep. I would get woken up every hour and a half by him, and I was sort of still in that pattern, which is why I ended up having a second child. I said I was getting up anyway, I might as well have the second one at the same time. So that sort of took a while, and I stayed in that sleep-deprived pattern for quite a few years. After 10 years, I left teaching and I opened a retail business with my husband then, and we had a retail store in a centre. Plus, at the time, the internet was just beginning, and we also had a full online store. So we were in the early development with the internet, and that supported our store. So we had 7 years in retail, but after that, the 7 days a week was getting a bit much. And I had also developed by then what the specialist said was palindromic rheumatism, and that was often a precursor to rheumatoid arthritis. And I was unable to stand in the store all day on my feet. I was finding that very difficult, and very brain fog and fatigued, and in a lot of pains that were fluctuating all over the body, and I developed a whole lot of food sensitivities. So at that stage we decided to transition to a wholesale business Australia-wide and work from our home. And my husband was also developing a website development business at the same time. So we were doing those two together. I then became sort of like the admin officer for my husband's business. But it was a blessing in a disguise as well, because during that time I found I suddenly had the time for myself. And that was when I had my spiritual awakening, which would have been 2006. And I suddenly became interested in everything about learning energetic healing modalities, exploring consciousness, quantum physics, all of those different types of things, which were very new to me. And I've started exploring a lot of different healing modalities, and I have actually become certified in over, I'd say, 25 different ones, because I loved learning. I've been to the United States and Canada 2-3 times doing different courses. So during that period, there was a lot of discovery about myself, and I got plenty of options and time to work on myself with all my various courses that I did. So on my very first course, I actually cleared and healed and transmuted all of my energetic, the food sensitivities, which I'd had for a few years, and we were quite severe. So, that was really great for me. That was when I was in Hawaii, and I came back home and I knew I could eat anything I wanted from then on. So from then on, that's been my main focus. I developed my own business working with clients both here in Australia and overseas for several years. I mentored some clients in certain healing modalities to help them become more proficient. I've had free online healing groups that I started, and another one that I mentored and set up and then handed over once they were ready. So that had been my main interest from then on. And if we fast forward to now, I've had another role because of the ill health of my husband and also my father came to live with us. He's now transitioned 3 years ago, but so that would have been 21 years ago now. We had him living with us for 17 years. And particularly in his last 6 months, that was during COVID, towards the end, that was quite difficult, of course, because I'd elected not to have the jab. So I was not allowed to visit when he ended up in hospital a couple of times, and it was quite sad and stressful, and he ended up dying in hospital alone because of that, which was quite upsetting at the time. At the same time, I've had my husband with major health issues. He has advanced Parkinson's, and he has developed also a stage 4 brain cancer, glioblastoma, and also from our early marriage, when I was pregnant with my first child, he had his first grand mal seizure, or tonic-clonic seizure as they call it now. So this was intermittent with him, but he's now got 3 neurological diagnoses, and I have been caring for him and my father when he was alive now for the last several years. My husband got diagnosed 14, 15 years ago with the Parkinson's, and we actually had to give up his website business, and I've just had to watch the progression of him declining and getting worse. And in the last few years, I haven't continued my energy healing work and practice because I've had too much going on at home. Plus, I had a sick dog that also required me looking after him throughout the night and during the day. I was spending 3 hours a day. He had a skin disease, just having to keep him clean every day, and that took a lot of my time as well. I fast forward now 2.5 years ago, I just happened to find a mention about quantum healing systems, and I instantly knew that I had to look into that. And at that stage, there was only a single page website and not a lot of information, but I knew I had to join because I wanted to be a part of helping assist in bringing that out to everybody, because I already had a project where I had been planning for an alternate healing system centre. And when I saw that Cynthia was already putting that into motion, and through their private membership program weren't waiting for the RV or anything to happen, I was so excited, and I immediately signed up and joined it. My health really is quite good and has been quite good since I started doing all of my healing work over the past 18 years or so. So that wasn't my primary interest in joining. I have a few things I'd like to see after the going through the QArc, and one is my eyesight, because I was diagnosed with short-sightedness when I was 13. So I'd always had to wear glasses or contact lenses when I was older. And about 6 years ago, I had to have cataract surgery. And both my eyes with the lenses were set to long distance so I could see driving, but short distance now I have to wear magnifiers, and that just drives me crazy. I'm always walking around trying to find a pair of magnifiers for when I'm trying to do the cutting up of the veggies or whatever, or reading, which I never needed. So I'd love to be able to just see without having to wear glasses and be looking for them. Obviously, one of the other things I'd like is to have normal breasts again, have the silicone implants removed. And apart from that, there's not really a lot wrong. I've got one slight crossover toe on my foot that has developed, But I'm generally healthy and can do whatever I like, so I'm fortunate like that, especially since I've got to take care of my husband. So my main aim is I'm hoping to be involved with the rollout and helping set up the centres and be involved in that work at some stage as soon as that's possible.
Join us on the Prequel, where every story matters and every voice is heard. Because here at QHS, we're all about healing, learning, and growing together.